Howdy, folks. It's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It's the middle of the evening, and we are doing an unboxing of the game Wings for the Baron. This is by designer Dave Townsend. It's from Victory Point Games. This was published in 2015. Dave Townsend actually self-published the game a fair bit earlier than that, but this is called the second edition, but it really is the first generally available public commercial version of the game, Victory Point Games. All right, so we are going to dig in with my tool here. All right. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Victory Point Games, they started off doing little Ziploc games in a much smaller thing, and then somewhere along the line they started doing little boxes of about that size, and then they came into more quote-unquote deluxe editions of this size, and then towards the end of their life they actually came out with more substantial deluxe editions that actually had, real boxes and much nicer components. As you can see here, this is what they called the pizza box. This is what you would expect to find your pizza leftovers in. An old style cardboard box like this with a sleeve on it, so they could mass produce these boxes and then just have a sleeve to put on the top. That saved them money. Some people don't like that style of component. Some people thought it was a nice way to maybe save on money. The question was that savings really passed on to the end consumer or not? Sometimes you'd say yes, sometimes you'd say no. It's kind of hard to tell. But in general, Victory Point Games was able to publish a lot of titles that might not have otherwise got published. So I think for the history of games and war games and strategy games, it's been a good thing that they've been around. All right, so this particular title, Wings for the Baron, my understanding is that this is not a war game. It is set during World War I, but it's not about warfare per se. It's about, as it says, innovation and profiteering among the German aircraft industries during World War I. So it is like a business competition game. You're competing against other designers, other aircraft manufacturers, trying to get, contracts from the government. Yeah, there's some nice color photos in there. Those look like actual posters. This looks like a stamp, like that was on a stamp or something. But so we have a rule book. This is definitely nicer than your average rule book for many Victory Point games. So all total, there looks to be 24 pages, including the covers. You can see it doesn't lie as flat. This has been folded and saddle stapled, there in the center, but it hasn't been creased as much as it could. And you can see sort of the that spreading of the edges. So there's a way to fold these and trim these where it's like you trim it after you've folded it and creased it to make sure it doesn't have that. But I think that's a more expensive process. But this is adequate enough to me in terms of it's a decent enough quality. Now I am noticing that one of my pet peeves is not enough center margin, the gutter. It's too close to that seam in the end. It's readable. This spreads okay enough, but it's still a little too close. And they could have, maybe shrunk these graphics a little bit to give just an eighth of an inch more in the center or something might be enough. But yeah, it's just too close to the center there. All right, so gonna look at these, but let's go through and see all the components first real quick, and then we'll go back. Okay, this is a whole extra booklet here. Bibliography. These look like description of cards. And are they talking mechanics or is it the history? This is like the bonus flavor text. This is like designer notes, historical notes. Yeah, it's talking about the different airplane manufacturers in the game. Albatross, Fokker. That's with 2 Ks. Fokker. Halberstader. I cannot pronounce German. Luftfahrzeug. Standard game technologies. Okay, so this is talking about traits or things in the game that you are designing attributes for your airplane. So agile, ailerons, better engines, wing construction, biplane or not, triplane, monoplane, cantilevered wings, dual machine guns, fast climber, machine gun synchronizing gear, campaign. So evidently there's a campaign game that there's probably a standard game and then a campaign game, aerial mapping, bomb racks, dual engines, and closed cockpits. So this whole booklet here is not needed at all to play the game. None of this is game information. It's all flavor bonus information to help immerse you in the topic, get a better feel for the history, the period. So this is nice supplemental material. Doesn't increase your burden on what you need to learn, but if you want to dig in and add to your experience, boom, that's good. 2 card decks. I'm going to flip this down a little more. Here we go. 2 card decks. Okay, they're in the little paper sleeves, so that'll be easy for me to get into. And as usual, I will be using plasti bands to protect. All right, now will these slide off? It's tight. It's not going to slide off easier. I will have to sort of peel and tear, and that's fine by me again because I am replacing those. So let's look at one deck at a time. Okay, there's different backs. War status. I'm assuming there's more than 3. Technology/events. All right, it always worries me when I start going into one of these, like, do I need to keep these in order? Are they going to card 05, 10, and 15? Like, do you need to keep these sorted? Now, they have a nice, easy-to-read number, so you can always resort them or put them together. Technology events. So, okay, design elements. So this is what that was other. You have to have ailerons to use thick wings. Triplane design cannot be used on a monoplane. So you can start with a biplane and turn it into a triplane design, but you can't start with a monoplane and change it up into a triplane. Monoplane design cannot be used with a triplane. Metal construction instead of wooded canvas or whatnot. Canvas or what's the other kind of silk? Yeah, it's like silk. Fabric, cantilevered wings. Okay, so with all those different kind of technologies that have different, that's like a tech tree. For those of you that play a lot of like space games or even things like Warcraft, In StarCraft, you know, you've got a tech tree of different technologies that you can build to beef up your dudes, and one technology unlocks another. All right, so these are all... so I'm not going to look from the back here. We'll look for interesting things. Another monoplane design. So there's multiple different designs, different benefits, fast climbers. There's another one, cantilever wings, engines, agile, nice aerobatic plane. All right. These are like events, right? No, that's the war status. German withdrawal, Kaiserschlacht, Battle of Jutland. All right, that was here. What are these? Action cards. This card, intentionally left blank. Please throw it away. Why? I'm going to keep it. You can't tell me to throw it away, man. I'm going to keep that one. I'm going to keep it right on the top. So there's some of these colored things here. These action card ones are different colors. Oh, another one intentionally left blank. But it's got different colors on the edges. That's interesting. I wonder why they did that. That is very, very bizarre to me. So bizarre, so bizarre. All right. Design, 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 design. That's more war status. Black Day of the German Army. U.S. enters the war. The Battle of the Somme. All right. So these are different colors. There's these action cards. Okay, wait a minute. This was a... We didn't look at the back like we normally do. 3 to 5 players. So solitaire suitability here at 6, medium-ish. So you can play each of the positions. So it's not designed for 1 or 2 players, but it's not solitaire play. Isn't out of isn't out of the realm of possibility. All right. So these, I'm guessing, are for each player. They're numbered. I see focused effort 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 4 different. Okay, there's another deck, though. There's another deck. All right. And I can see right here that the top of this one, here's, I guess we could call that lavender. Lavender. Roland. Okay, Roland must be an aircraft manufacturer. That's that Fulf, the Fulf guys. Halberstadt, good Lord. I'm gonna have to learn me some German. All right, so I'm guessing there are 5, okay, number 1 through 5, and a, oh, here we go. There's Fokker. There's the famous Fokkers. Meet the Fokkers. Dear YouTube, I'm not swearing. That's not a swear word. All right. Albatross, which we always think of as clumsy. The image of an albatross. But yeah, more designs. I don't know why they had them all mixed up like that between these decks. There had to be a reason. All these different war statuses. But yes, it is looking like we have probably 6 per player. Fokker. And you know, oh, of course, another one left blank. Well, those different colors. The stripes on the side, they're different, except that's overlapped. So it's probably the colors of each player position. So I don't know if that was like a like a color test strip in the design, Oh, there's Fokker, and there's Fokkers. Oh, well, no, yeah, there's another color. Oh, there's some, no, yeah. There's a darker like purple. There's browns. So I'm expecting to see one more of those left intentionally blank. Of course, they'll prove me wrong. They'll prove me wrong. All right, so I think we've seen all the different types of cards. I don't think there's anything more going to surprise me here. In the deck, Russia collapses, war weariness, Battle of Verdun. So they've got some major battlefields, various events, people entering or leaving the war, focused effort. That's another one. You got these technologies in your technology tree. That's here. There we go. All right. So if I'm right, there should be 6 of these. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 1 through 5 and a focused effort. Build, espionage, design, research, bank, and focused effort. And that should be the same for each player. These are action cards. So I'm assuming this is you're choosing your actions. It's possible you could randomly get actions each turn, but that would be kind of weird in a game based on the design. You'd hope you have more agency than that. So perform the action on the left 1 additional time. Dial modifiers, research, design, espionage, and build. Interesting. Okay. Got to have good old espionage. I guess they're stealing design stuff from each other. That sounds like fun, I guess. All part of the war effort, guys. Bloody April. Romania overrun. All right. So those were all those goodies. So was there anything more in the bag? That was all the cards. Dice. 4 dice. Now that's weird. These are not very high con. It's white pips on light gray dice. I'm not saying I really like that very much. That's not necessarily easy to read, especially at a distance. If you got a 5-player game and you guys are kind of spread out, I would probably not tend to use these myself personally, and use some dice that were bigger with bigger contrast. That's just me, but if that's what you got, that's what you use, right? But word to game publishers, I don't recommend this color scheme for your dice. Not enough contrast. If those are black pips, it would have been fine. Or if it was a darker gray, it would have been fine. All right, these are, no, it's not identical. They're saying they look identical, but it's a continuation. Starting contracts equals number of players. So does that mean each player gets 1 contract, or there's contracts out there that they're all going for, competing for, and no one has any at the start? Doesn't say that. Die roll less than 1 or choose 1. So I'm not sure if that's some kind of resolution table with a number of pips. 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 3. There's like the number on the bottom is like an average, rounded one way or another. This makes me think of Der Weltkrieg. Morale start. Morale of whom? Morale of the German people, I would guess. This is strictly German aircraft industry during World War One. Inflation table. That's all inflation. No inflation, 25% inflation, advance 1 space, 50% inflation, advance 2 spaces. No, well, that looks like a different table. So yeah, we're going 1, 2, 3 is no inflation, 4 or 5, 25% inflation, 6, 50% inflation. Oh, interesting. Inflation track. So here's this is the inflation track. At the start, you can have no inflation or can advance 1 or 2 spaces. Now there's up, down, up, down. It alternates up, down. Let's skip the very end. Up, and then hyperinflation, game over. All right, so that's how the game ends. If Germany hits hyperinflation, it's like game over, dude. Game over. Notice the spelling, if you can see that. Papier mark, currency value. So papier marks, paper marks, paper money. All right. So that's not the episode. So that's big and long. That's gonna take. You don't necessarily have to. You could put them on top of each other and pop the tracker. It depends on what kind of table and how many people have. How you're sitting around the table. Is it a big rectangular or a round one, a hexagonal table, or what? I don't know. You have to decide. There's a whole bunch of these baggies in here. So I think I saw on the back of the box it said something about 193 laser cut counters. Now, if this is typical, oh, I see one in the box, loose. There's a +1 marker. A +1 of what? I do not know. But there's a loose solitaire variant player aid. Okay, that's very interesting. It says for 3 to 5 players, but they actually have a solitaire variant. Because there's a solitaire variant, I think they should have rated their game higher than a 6 in the solitaire scale. I mean, at least it have been in that top, 7, 8, 9. I would have if you've created a solitaire variant. Give yourself some credit for that. Didn't mention that there on the back. Well, it does over here on the back of the box. It does say over there that there's a solo player aid, but it doesn't mention that when it's talking about how many players. Wow, there's quite a lot of stuff in here. All right, they're the colors of these are like a mat for each German design bureau, design agency, company, whatever you want to call it, corporation. All right. Oh, interesting. So it specifically mentions standard game. Tells you what you start with. So I'm assuming the campaign. Oh. Now, this is weird. This guy doesn't say anything about the campaign game. Is he not in the campaign game? This guy says nothing. This guy says campaign game. This guy says campaign game. Do in the campaign, do only some of the manufacturers start in the game and the other ones, these two guys show up later? That's really weird. That is really weird. I do not know. Okay, so this, that's weird. There's these numbers. So I don't know. Confidential. Does that mean 5 plus 2? There's arrows going some ways. I'm not sure if that's by default. If you get this thing, that's the minimum, or how much you have to get it up to be in effect. Is this a bonus? Or if you have that number higher, there's a confidential bonus effect, or I do not know. All right, so there's some mysteries there that may not be solved in this viewing. We're at 25 minutes almost here, folks, and Okay. Now I'm gonna. You see that? You see the little counters that have come out of some of these here. Now, I am okay. We can see a little bit on this one here. Some of that soot. I was gonna say it didn't look as bad. Some of these Victory Point Games ones are notorious for how bad the soot is on their laser cut counters, and they usually come with I think I see it in the very corner of the box there. Okay, that's just an ad for their other games. I'm gonna set that aside. Yeah, this is I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tuck these back in here and pull this out without them all falling out anyway. All right, I'm gonna. Now it's very interesting. Yeah, they're falling out anyway. But is how the counter sheet itself has rounded corners. Is that odd? It did make it easier to get out of the box. Oh no, so I was mistaken. There, what I was seeing was the desiccant. They actually have two in here, but yes, there it is, folks. The famous, infamous. Now they stamped these, but they didn't do a very good job. Wipes a lot. Victory Point Games to remove soot from your counters. All right, so there is no map or board. There's just those tracks and stuff. All right, so 2, 3. Are we missing one still? Is there? So somewhere in here, there appears to be, because right now I see 3 holes in this, and I only see 2 loose dudes. The soot is not as bad. Oh my goodness. they're just ready to fall out. So, oh, and another one fell out. So, goodness. So I'm hoping I'm not missing one. I'm hoping it's here somewhere on the table. That would be really weird. How did it escape? That was shrink wrapped. Here's that one that I put aside. Okay, so I think I'm good. I think the one fell underneath. Oh, here it is. All right. You guys don't want to watch me fighting with the counters. Now, if I tilt this a little bit, you can see some of them. So obviously color-coded to the 5 different things. There's a locked, symbol 0, locked. As in you got nothing in it and you have to unlock it, or nope, you can't make any advancement on that particular attribute for that plane. Don't know. These little things upside down say bonus, an arrow. I don't know if that has to do with that confidential stuff or not. Ooh, there's some of these are even 3s. Can you see that? 3s. So it's mostly 1s, 2s, 3s. So I don't know if you put these in a cup and you draw out how big of an advancement, or you just use them like change. You get a +1, you get a +2, you get a +3, etc. Different attributes. Well, fighter, bomber, recon. I'm not sure if that's used on those tracks there to measure something. Max number of contracts per turn. Welded steel. So those are the same for the 5 guys. They all have those. Wait, is that right? Ace. Okay, there's some aces here. There's a different color. Okay, so there's a light gray, which are these guys here. There's a slightly darker gray that I think are generic for all the players, and that's kind of weird. That's too close. That's going to be a little confusing. A little confusing. All right. So that's the counters. There is no map. Each player has a company mat. Wonder what they call them here generically. To take the role of competing German airplane manufacturers. So these are the 5 manufacturers in the game. Each player is playing a manufacturer. This is your manufacturer mat. And again, I'm not sure why some of them have a thing saying standard game and some refer to the campaign game. Can you only play the standard game with 2 players? And you're only building fighters. But if you can play the campaign game, or are you telling me that these 3 manufacturers can build fighter bombers and recon planes, but these 2 can only build fighters? These are double-sided. Everything else has not been double-sided. Mystery solved. All right, here we go. Everybody has 2 sides. There we go, folks. There we go. Standard game, fighters only, campaign game, 3 different kinds of aircraft. There we go. All righty. So you're going to track some kind of points here for each player that would be separate from that big, these other tracks. So the question of which you do on which track, I do not know. There's a bunch of different icons up here. Recon fighter, recon. Oh, different manufacturers. Start. This only has 2 different. Player colors. Are you telling me that? We know that they all can be played in the campaign game now that we've solved that mystery. Don't know. Wait, some of these are round and some of these are square. Bomber, 0. Recon, fighter. A round thing and a... Wait, these round ones? I think it's the Allied roundel, the dot in the middle. It's not in the right colors, and it looked like the color of these guys, Roland. But I think this is the Allied. So this is like the Ally technology level or sophistication, whatever rating in, no one's got bombers at the start. They've got some recon planes, and the Allies have an advantage in the fighters. That's my guess. That is the Allied technology level for those types of planes. That's me guess. Okay, now we haven't really looked at the rules real quick. We're up at 33 minutes. Let's try to just spend a little bit of time in here. See if we can dot some of those I's, cross some of those T's. Table of contents. So the solitaire variant was created by a different designer/developer. So designer was David Townsend, developed by Tobias Locke and Alan Emmerich. Solitaire variant by Ken Keller. Quite a few playtesters. I do know that some Victory Point games didn't get enough playtesting. This one looks like it did get a fair bit. That's good. Object of the game. You are trying to amass the most money in gold and popular marks, if they retain any value. That's the old inflation thing there, guys. All right. Setting up the standard game. Factories, action cards. Start with certain bonuses like a talented engineer. Wings technology on the biplane area of your mat. Factories. You have a certain number of factories. You're with 1 factory. Allied morale. Markers on the 20. So there's the Allied morale. The thing marked morale on that other chart is the Allied morale. Oh, and the German morale. It's both. All right. Both sides. Start with a morale of 24. Oh, okay. War status cards. 3 piles. 1916, 1917, 1918. Oh, interesting. So you do some shuffle-uffling between these. Get them all sorted. You take out some of the 1960 cards and put them in 1917. Then you shuffle the 1917 pile. And you remove 6 and add them in the 1918 pile. Which could have been some of the 1916 ones that you did shuffle the 1918 pile. Place, blah, 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 blah. All right, so kind of randomized, mostly in chronological order with some randomization. Okay. That helps with replayability, having some of that randomness. Eventually you'll get to all those events, but certain things could happen earlier or later than you expect them to. All right, bomber effectiveness work, allied recon. Aha, yes. The small round one. Place the allied fighter effectiveness on the 5 space. The allied recon and bomber effectivenesses are only used in the campaign game. Fighter. Okay, so that's what those are. Those are effectiveness, as they call it. Effectiveness. And again, only fighters in the standard game, the bombers and the recon are in the campaign game. Sequence of play. Choose an action. No, not choose an action. Choose actions. Aha. All players secretly and simultaneously choose 2 action cards. Place those face down along the bottom. Okay, that's what that 1 into 2 at the bottom was. And then you reveal. So that's one of the difficulties in solitaire play, is that if you were trying to play solitaire multiple players, you know what you're playing. So either you have to randomize some dudes, or you have to be really split personality in the brain to do it different ways, or you just play whatever and you don't really care what the other person is doing and you just do what you're going to do. Resolve the actions, award contracts, inflation, and war status. Now, wait a minute. It says, oh, so that 1 and the 2 is not just your first action, your second action. The one you put under the 2, you're actually going to do that action twice, and the one that you put under the number 1 is done once. So you get to choose 2 action cards, but you're going to get 3 total actions performed, because one of them will be done twice. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So you could neglect an action for a while, and then when you finally get around to it, you could do it twice to try to catch up. Or something you feel, I don't really need it that often, and you just do the one, and something else you might like build a ton of factories or crank out on design. What was it? Research, design, build, bank. It is a money game. Design, espionage, yes, build. Okay, so interesting. Build. That's building a factory, okay. Design, so it sounds like you're automatically building prototypes as you go along. You don't have to do a build action, but as you do design actions and research, that's unlocking stuff, pushing up your prototype, stealing technology. So that focused effort, perform the action on the card shown to the left, 1 addition. Okay, so that's why 2 and 1. Okay, so you're gonna place an action here that's gonna be done twice. This is 1. If you push this one here, you can actually do one thing 3 times in a row. So you could do 2 different actions, twice on one on another, or by using focused effort, you could actually do one of the things 3 times. That's interesting. All right. Here's a big, this looks like for a campaign game, the full on sequence of play. All right, let's just, we're already up to 4 minutes on this. This again, this is a 24-page rule book. There's plenty of white space other than the gutter. So come on, guys, you could have given it just a little tiny more gutter there. The fact that this is a standard game and campaign game. There's the campaign rules. So page 17 and up is all campaign rules. Game end in victory. War status. Morale adjustment, contracts adjustments, allied aircraft effectiveness adjustments, information markers, inflation, contracts. Roland. Roland is only recommended for 4 or 5 player games only, it says. They start with 2 licensed production markers. We haven't heard anything about what a licensed production marker is. Is that just another term for a contract you've been awarded? A licensed production marker? Resolving action sequence, build espionage, design, sequence of play. Yeah, where was the award contracts phase 3? Claim contracts in preference rating order to increase their popular marks score. You're paid in paper money. All right, glossary. And marks, popular marks. Preference rating. All right. That company's current fighter effectiveness rating. So based on your design, what all the different attributes and all that stuff, it's kind of like summarized or reduced down to an effectiveness rating. Now, I don't assume that you necessarily, whoever's the highest would suddenly get all the contracts that are out there available, every single one. Or that would be weird. That would be like a game that you could just run away with and it wouldn't be much fun. So, not sure how that works. Is it catch? Well, I'm assuming espionage is sort of a form of catch-up mechanic, right? If you're stealing stuff from other people, that means you didn't have to research it yourself. And, maybe you can get lucky and leapfrog ahead. You can steal the right technology from other players at the right time. All right, so espionage. Select an opponent's technology that you do not have, but you have to meet the requirements for. So if you get too far behind, you can't steal his best stuff. You can maybe steal the prerequisites for the best stuff. So roll a die. +1 die roll modifier if any other opponent also has that technology. So if only one player has a technology, you have the base chance of stealing it. If more than one player has it and you don't, you get a bonus to your die roll. So that's a catch-up mechanism. If you're behind, you could potentially try to specialize in one kind of technology, hope to get way out ahead, and then steal everyone else's as you go along to try to keep up with them. Because as soon as 2 players get something, boom, start doing espionage. That's one way that you could maximize your actions, possibly. Just don't do any espionage until at least 2 people have something. Design. For each design action, add a new design feature. Special abilities. Albatross starts with 4 factories. I think everyone else started with 1. Albatross gets 4. For each banking action, gets to add +1 die roll modifier. Fokker starts with a talented engineer who cannot be taken away by other players' events. Anthony Fokker. All right. Halberstadt. When you research, you get an additional card. 1 total, not 1 per research action. So You could just do one research action a turn to maximize the benefit of the bonus, getting one additional card and spending time doing other things. Spread that around. So do your one for research, because you don't get one additional per research action. You just get one bonus. So Halberstadt. Work. Start with 3 technology events instead of 2. And 3 bonus action markers. Bonus action. Oh, those are like one-time additional bonuses. So that's interesting. Start with it. You're up 1 tech event. You have 3 bonus action markers. Spent once each and once per card. Wait a minute. Once each and 1 per card. I'm a little confused. You perform actions to gain 1 additional plus 1 action of that type, except for focused effort. I'm not 100% sure I understand that bonus action. Is it really 5? 5 different kinds, but it says 3. Is it 3 of each of the 5? I don't know. Roland, and that was the dude that licensed price markers. These markers go to go second during the awards contract phase, and when doing a rolling die award, the contracts. All right, I think that's enough looking through this for now. You can see we had 24-page rule book, some very nice color illustrations and stuff, campaign game, standard game. There's this whole extra booklet down here of historical and background information, 5 player cards that are 2-sided for the manufacturers, campaign and standard game. Old Roland there is only recommended for the 4 or 5 player game. We got 2 of these big old tracks strung out all over. We never did quite figure out what these are. So that's a mystery. Maybe when I get around to actually doing a how to play at some point, we'll figure that out. Good old counters that are just falling right out of there. The good old solo variant. And then all those different cards, of which we sort of knocked them all over the place here. So you have action card selection for each player. So that unique aspect of simultaneously, they said you choose your actions, so you're putting them face down. You don't know what the other players are doing that turn, but you're going to see it. It's going to be revealed each turn. So if they start picking a certain strategy, you can adapt later and say, well, maybe I better do more of this or that. And potentially because of that focused effort, you could do one action 3 times, or one action twice and another action once. 5 different actions to work on. We read that the War Status deck is sort of, these are the events. So as you do now this is interesting. These have a war status part and a design part, technology and event. But these are the war status cards that were put in the policy. It was separated by 19, 16, 17, and 18. And you move some around. So they will be sorted, shuffled, but then sort of all munched together. So you're going to be, every game, you're going to be resorting these and doing that. So that's no problem that we put those all together. But this, resolve actions, war status, award contracts. So technology/event. So this bottom half, the top is all design. So if you're drawing out of here for design purpose, you're looking at the top. I'm assuming that sometimes you draw to look at the bottom part, or do you, once you've drawn for the design purpose and marked this effect on your board? Because all these different things had a thing on your techie tree, thick wings, streamlining, fast climber, or something like that. There's no place to put the cards on this board. You're putting markers on here. Better engines 2, better engines 4, ailerons, agile, streamlining, fast climber, welded, thick wings. There's all those different things. But maybe you get to keep this card to then play this effect down below, or at different times are you directed to draw, like during the award contracts phase, we're going to make a calculation and draw one card to see, is it an award card contracts and it's affecting it, or do people save these and play these to alter the effect? Definitely it mentioned playing events, that sometimes, like that one guy's like, oh, the Fokker has the talent engineer and it cannot be removed. So there's definitely some event that a player plays against another player that could make him lose something like a talent engineer, but the Fokker dude, Anthony Fokker, cannot be removed that way. So that's buried in the rules there somewhere. Again, like I said, we'll get that later. This was 51 minutes, way over an unboxing. This was, again, typical Meandering Mike exploration, where we dig in way more than a standard unboxing, doing our little efforts at discovery and laughing at such exciting things as the great Victory Point Games napkin. Oops, one of them was trying to escape. So that's it, folks. We're going to call it quit there. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. This is Wings for the Baron. Intentionally left blank. Please throw away. No, we're going to keep those. What if someday I need to sell this game and someone says, dude, it's not complete. It's missing 4 cards. Yeah. So, Wings for the Baron, Victory Point Games. I'm going to give another shout out to Christopher Prest on his channel Nanguea. He, not sure if he actually had a chance to play the game or just watched it played at Can Games last weekend. So that made me go and dig and find my copy and go ahead and do this unboxing in depth. Well, Meandering Mike, signing out now. All you good folks, take care and ciao.